Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Welcome to Granny Camp 2022. I'm finally getting to spend more time out here, and I thought I would show you some of the items that I brought out. There are a lot of items we need to have as preppers, whether we have them just in our home or we have them in a to-go bag or at our secondary location if you're blessed enough to have one. So when I packed up my things to go to Granny Camp, I thought it would be a great idea to unpack it and show you what are the things that I brought so that I have these items that I need. And it's just basic. When I come to Granny Camp, it's an off-grid cabin. There's no running water, there's no electricity, and I just come out here and love spending time in nature and having a good old time. So you don't need every single thing in your home if you have to leave your home. So you want to decide what are the basics, the things that I really need. So whether you're a beginning prepper or you've been doing it a long time, sometimes it's nice to review over basic items to make sure that you know you not only have them, but maybe have a backup if you need it. Well, whenever you go out in the woods, you need to remember that there are critters there. And I brought this box out here a few weeks ago, but I hadn't even put anything in it yet. I was planning to store some things to keep the little critters out, and something already chewed up the edge of it before I even put anything in it. So who knows? That's where you have to be careful with lotions, toothpaste, shaving cream, anything that has a scent will attract animals, and so you want to make sure that you aren't bringing snacks and scented lotions and things, because you're going to attract not only insects but then critters. So I think it's still going to work, but I was certainly surprised that somebody wanted to just have a little taste of plastic and chewed the edge up. That's not the first time I've had critters chew up plastic containers. A few years ago, I had squirrels that chewed up a white 5-gallon bucket, and those things are way sturdier than this, and their teeth went right through it. I had a few extra containers at my house, so I brought those out simply because it's nice to have a few extra containers to store things. If you get too many plastic containers and you can't stack them well and they take up a bunch of cluttery room, clear them out so that you have room for the prepping supplies that you actually need. So by taking these out of my cabinet at home, it allowed me to have room to put more compact prepping supplies that I actually will use. I had an extra little candle holder, so I brought that out here, because even though it's light nearly all the time in the summer, once you're inside, it isn't that light, and so I use a lot of candles and lanterns and battery operated things so that I can have light when I'm inside, especially like on a rainy day, or at night, even though it's still light out, it gets dusk. So in the late hours, say from midnight to maybe 4:30 in the morning, it's still light, but it's like dusk, and it's beautiful. I love it. I picked a few little wildflowers on my walk this morning. Whenever you go out, make sure that you have a jacket or something, some warm clothes with you in the car somewhere, because it can get cold at night wherever you are, and if you should get stranded and then it does have a storm or it gets cold, you need a way to stay warm. You want to take care of yourself. So I have a jacket and a few extra pairs of heavy warm socks. Oh, I baked a loaf of bread in my bread machine right before I left the house. I'm having a great time with the bread machine. So if you're interested in learning to bake your own bread without much effort, check out my video on how I use the Oster bread machine so I can make bread whatever I want. It's so easy. You just pour it in, turn it on, and yum. Have extra toilet paper. One of my strategies that I always do is, say when I'm out at Granny Camp or I go camping, I put everybody's roll, everybody has their own roll, I put it in a Ziploc bag with their name on it, and they are responsible to use their own amount of toilet paper, and people use way less when it's their roll, because when it runs out, what are they going to do? But if just the family rolls are out there, everybody's winding along, doing whatever they want. And so if you are finding that you're going through too much toilet paper, try making people accountable for it. Or when you're in your home, you can say, just limit yourself to 4 squares. You should be able to do it with 4 squares rather than just going whoosh and unrolling a whole bunch. There are strategies to help you try to use less because everything costs more now. These aren't in any particular order, it's just I'm unpacking. So I have a toothbrush. I have some A&D ointment, which is the first aid supply. I have a couple extra batteries, an extra pair of reading glasses, an extra pair of sunglasses. There's the toothpaste. Hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is fantastic for also starting campfires. Put a little hand sanitizer on a piece of cotton ball and you can have a fire that'll go and go. That's one of the problems here in Alaska. It's been extremely dry. We have had long, dry, warm days, which are very unusual, and so the fire danger is already high, and we have burn bans all over the state. And that happened last summer as well. Plus, I think it was 2 summers ago, they had terrible forest fires that burned up like 40% of Alaska. And so it's not a summer that I'm going to be using my fire pit, I'm sure. And if you have burn bans in your area, pay strict attention to them, because the last thing you want to do is inadvertently start a massive wildfire. I have a tube of hand lotion, an extra pair of scissors, a pen. I probably have paper in here somewhere. I have some extra rope. It's good from everything from tying up a tarp, putting a rope on the dog, or use the clothespins and you have a clothesline. This year I've been using these little bracelet type bug repellent. I also have an afterbite stick. These are great because if you do get a mosquito bite, you can just rub this on it and it actually does really help with the itching. But buy them now. Don't wait until you're covered in bites. And yeah, check these out. For a few years I was using, I think it was called Sting Shield, and I have these Velcro bands that you put these little discs in it, and they worked really well. But then when I couldn't buy the Sting Shield inserts anymore, the ones that I did buy didn't seem to work at all. And so you want to test fire what you're using and have a backup for your insect repellent in case you have something that doesn't work well. I have some individual tubes of super glue. I always figure super glue is a single-use item because once you open it, it doesn't seem to matter how carefully I put it away, it's never good the next time. So if you buy the single use, I bought these at the Dollar Tree when I was in the lower 48, then you can use the one, save it if you want or pitch it out, but you know you'll have some to use next time. But I have discovered over years, these don't last even if you never open them. After a few years, they'll dry up and they won't be any good to use anymore anyway. I have a couple of solar lights. These are nice, even if you're going tent camping, put these by your tent and then you can light up where the ropes are so nobody trips in the dark. And if you're out walking around or going for a moonlit hike, you can find your way right back to your tent. Had to go rescue the dog. Okay, when I was at the Dollar Tree in the lower 48, I also found these cool little lantern flashlights. It has a lantern on the front and a flashlight on the end, and they take a couple of batteries and they work great. Stock up on some extra battery operated flashlights and little lanterns and things. They're inexpensive and a lot of them work really great. And for a couple of dollars you have an additional light source should we have some kind of a grid down or a power outage situation. I have a package of baby wipes. I usually store these in a gallon Ziploc bag to help make sure they don't dry out, and then store them with the opening down. Then the moisture soaks down into the first ones that are going to pop out rather than into the last ones that are going to pop out. I have some over-the-counter medications, an extra pair of nail clippers. I bought a set with nail clippers, tweezers, a file, and a couple other things in there. Zip ties, bungee cords, a new roll of duct tape, little bungee cords, extra long utility lighters. These are great. They're my favorites. Make sure you also have lots of matches and any of the ways to light the things that you plan to use in an emergency situation. I have Ziploc bags. Get them in all kinds of sizes that you would normally use. If you use up one box, replace it with two, put one to use and one to store. And then you have your own prepper pantry stockpile of things that you can go into, and then you have extras of the things that you need. So if you can't afford the gas to drive to the store, or the store doesn't have the things you need, or there's some kind of an emergency situation when you can't get to the store, then you still have the things that you need. And the last thing is some Reynolds foil wrappers. I love these. I put them over the tops of baking pans. I wrap food in them, put them in a campfire, put it in the oven. They're a great way to have simple cooking and then no cleanup, which can really be important if you don't have all of the facilities like you normally have. Say if the water stops running and you don't have a way to clean all the dishes, wash all the pots and pans, you can make it easier on yourself having just a few items like this that you can use. Whenever you're using candles or emergency stoves or any type of situation where you're using something with a flame, everyone needs a fire extinguisher. There are all kinds of reasons why a fire could start. But if you are planning on being without the facilities that you normally have, then you need to be your first line of defense, and one of those is being ready to be proactive. So have a working fire extinguisher, check the gauge that it's current, and even if you go to a cabin, take a carbon monoxide and a smoke detector with you so that you can protect your life. Every year, there are people who die from carbon monoxide poisoning because they didn't think about the things that they were doing that were burning up the oxygen in your space. So be extra careful. I also keep a pair of shoes right next to my bed, so if I ever wake up in the middle of the night, I don't have to hunt for my shoes. They're right there. I can put them on and take off and take care of whatever I need to. So here are some basics. Make sure that you have the things that you need. If there are basic items that you think should be included in this list, please share it in the comments below so we can learn from each other. Prepping is lifestyle insurance, so you have the things you need so you can continue to live your best life ever as long as possible. Oh. Teddy's calling. If you enjoyed my video, please share it with someone else you think might like it, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel. Oh, Teddy, what are you stuck on now?